Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations, Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Reviews. So today we're just going to be doing a walkthrough of the pedal board. We spent like 2.5 hours completely rebuilding that consists of these three parts here, these three different boards. So we have on this first channel, like I use three-way switchers for various reasons. It definitely makes my setup a lot easier. For one, if I want to add things on these two channels here or use this as a mute switch, I can do that as well. And I got two additional effects loops available to me here. So on this last one, I have this whole little miniature pedal board set up here, which you can see is about the size of my arm. It's about 14 to about 8 and really smaller. But it's got all my bass tones for anything that I pretty much do. So this is my main little gig setup at the moment. You know, I was going to switch over this onto this bigger board here because I like this pedal board a little bit more. You know, it protects the power supply a lot more on the bottom of it, and it's a lot more places to hide the cables and such. So but with this, it's just so compact, you know, it allows me to just fling it out the case, put it in, plug it in, and then coming in input, output under here. So what we got here is we got the compressor. So I'll take off the ToneX. We're kind of listening to a few of the ToneX sounds there. But let me see. I just turned it off. It's a little more difficult. So I can't turn off the thing underneath. I mean, well, it's a Source Audio Atlas compressor, which I have running a 11.6 limiter as the actual limiter, and then I have that running into a optical LED peak limiter, which is just a tube limiter, and I'm only using the tube limiter for actual sound. I'll let you hear that by itself since it's a little harder to turn off. Well, let's start with my bass flat. With the limiter. So it adds quite a bit to your sound with just that preset, you know, I have on there. And that's my always on limiter. So it's just on underneath this actual little pedal board you can't see. But starting out, we'll add just the actual Empress compressor to that. Oh, wrong one. So just a quick comparison of adding that to your sound. And typically, um, just as my general bass sound, it'll be the Empress compressor into the ToneX one, which has all my different preamps that you see down here on the floor, as well as the color box, as well as combinations of preamps, things like the color box running into the Gensler or the color box running into the Aguilar or SGT DI. So, instead of carrying all those different preamps and combinations of analog preamps around, I do it from the ToneX One. And the ToneX One is an exceptional piece of gear. I'm not skipping no. I'm not skipping these two. I'm just giving you my general bass sound. So this is a color box V2 running into a SGT with the B15 circuit engaged. So hold on, why my chat not coming through? I'm sorry, y'all been commenting and stuff. I appreciate all y'all hanging out with me. I'm not sure what's going on with the chat on my Streamlabs. Sorry about that, folks. Hey, how y'all doing? Appreciate everybody hanging out. Sorry about that, guys. Here we go. It's a lot better. And here's just my bass by itself. With Empress, ToneX One, with the color box, SGT B15, and the Source Audio Atlas compressor. So it gives you a nice finger style tone there. But usually I keep up the color box and Gensler tone models as well. So I'll be having like this would be my normal finger style EQ. Same setup with the color box and the Gensler, but with the Contour A. So it's like a slap EQ. So yeah, those are pretty much, I try not to hop around to too many different preamps and EQs during the show. That kind of gets annoying for sound engineers sometimes. But I definitely would say you want to have at least a couple different tones. Like, I like that B15 for the jazz stuff. And I like the other two for my general fingerstyle and the slap and pop. And that's pretty much the majority EQs I would use during the show. So ain't no need to really flip flop back and forth too much. But let's move on. So that's my general bass sound. It's really just three pedals. It's the Empress, the ToneX one, which is actually emulating two preamps generally, which is the color box and running into SGT or the Gensler Magellan. And then I have the underneath the Source Audio Atlas running the 1176 limiter into a tube limiter, but the tube limiter is just for color, just for saturation. So hit that like button while y'all here. I appreciate it. Appreciate all y'all that's been in the chat. I got a few different chats going on here. I'm not sure why they're not coming up, but for some reason they're giving me a hard time today with this chat. But I got it on my phone here, so let's rock and roll. All right. But I appreciate all y'all that chimed in and said hi. Feel free to ask questions. You know, not really taking requests per se, because you know how people be. I want to hear Freebird or whatever. All right. So let's move on. All right. So the general chain here for this pedal board, I like to have my pedal board in like a modular kind of setup. So it's easier to carry in and out of places and do different things. So I have the Empress running into the OC5, OC5 running into the deep freeze, into the ToneX one. No, excuse me. See, I get it confused myself sometimes. Empress in the OC5 into the Future Impact VIP, V4 VIP, into the deep freeze, then into the ToneX one, then into the Enzo X, running into the This is where it gets stereo. So comes in mono, comes out stereo from the Enzo X, stereo into the Plethora X1, and then stereo down into the Source Audio Atlas compressor. So, that gives me the ability, if I wanted to run stereo from this board, I could, but it's not in stereo right now. Yeah, I get caught up all day doing that, messing around with presets and stuff. But yeah, so mind you guys, all these presets and stuff you'll hear from these certain digital pedals and things like the Future Impact, Enzo X, and others. You can find on my Patreon, including all the Zoom pedals and all that stuff. So check it out, and the ToneX One models and all that stuff. It's on the Patreon. Check it out. But yeah, so I created this smaller board just for my general gigs, and I can, get a lot more done with a smaller footprint this way. So, even the OC5, I have that set up for if I ever, say I'm in church or something. So even with a small, very small footprint, you can get a lot done with this particular pedal setup. So it's only what 8 pedals. Yeah, it's only 8 pedals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. But then you got the future, the Enzo X, which is gonna, can give you bass synths and pads and everything else. See where we at. Yep. So as you hear, just beautiful, and this is the Enzo X in mono. That sound gets way bigger in um when it's stereo. It surrounds you when it's stereo. So it definitely is something that I would say is worth checking out. I think I just figured out what's going on with my chat. Ah, okay. So, all right, cool. Yeah, and there's a ton tons more sounds in the Enzo X and Future Impact. So just different sounds there. Plethora X1, I like to use for that chorus you heard before, but I also like to use it for the shimmer reverb. Also like this vibrato. So, this little pedal board by itself right here is a it's just amazing what I could do with just this small little setup with the technology. But let's move on. So that would be technically the first effects loop in the chain. Mind you, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 different effects loops all together within this massive 3 pedal board setup. So 1, 2, 3, basically. So as you can see, most of this board pretty much is just electro harmonic stuff. Gets me different tones, but on the first effects loop here, I have the, let me bring this back up. So on the first effects loop there, I have the C4 synth. So C4 synth into Hog 2. Yeah, Hog 2. So into the Spectrum. Spectrum I actually like to use with the Future Impact because I have a few waveforms just set up on the Future Impact. There we go. Not loud. So That's the second loop. Third loop. Third loop would be the. Let's see what we got here. What's going on, folks? Appreciate all y'all chiming in. See what we got going. Oh yeah, I already done said I ain't doing this. I don't know why people even ask me to play stuff for them. Cause, you know, I definitely will play stuff for folks, but that requires money. It's kind of what I do for a living. This I'm giving to you guys for free, right? So I'm not performing right now. I perform for free when I feel like it and only when I feel like it. But that's not often unless I'm on my channel, and then I just may do ambient mornings, afternoons. So make sure you subscribe, like, and share. You can see me play different stuff, but it's probably not going to be request. Not the karaoke musician. All right, let's go. You ever mess around with bigger MIDI controllers? Well, yeah, I don't mess around with them per se, like grab a bunch of them and try them out. No, but I use a MIDI captain, and I use this CME H2 MIDI Pro right here, and that distributes MIDI throughout my board from the either from the computer or if I need to do it in the software like Logic, I can do it there, and I can also do it from my MIDI captain where I can switch like the HX1, the MS-70 CDR Plus, also um, the Source Audio pedals, the Spectrum C4 Synth Atlas compressor, the Future Impact, the Enzo X, and if I wanted to, the ToneX one. So all those are available, and the MS-50D I could do as well. So all of those actually have MIDI that you can change programs and stuff like that. Yeah, the MIDI Captain. Now, if I was going to recommend something, that the MIDI Captain is an amazing piece of gear. I actually really love that MIDI controller for the flexibility, and I could just have a bunch of individual pedals settings set up on pages, and then other pages I can have a whole bunch of collective um, patch changes on all the different pedals. So that thing is really slick in the way, and it's easy to program. Wasn't a huge learning curve. Only gripe is, every once in a while they glitch out on me, so I have to have like my presets and stuff backed up on my computer. But I actually like that MIDI captain a lot. And that CME H2 MIDI Pro is really small. It doesn't take up a lot of pedalboard space, but it runs the standard MIDI. It runs USB MIDI as well. So, it runs my whole rig normally. Right now, I don't have any of my MIDI stuff hooked up, so that's why I'm not like using the MIDI captain. I just like I said, I just redid this whole pedal board yesterday, so I didn't go back and add the MIDI cables just yet, but I will, trust and believe. So that takes care of these pedals and all of these. So now it's we're running key 9, male 9, Ravish sitar, and the V256 vocoder there. And now that's on this third loop. Let's see what we got. Oh, I still get it. See these one at a time. Yeah, I like that. I like the Morning Star stuff as well. You know, it's pretty solid. It's another company. What is it, Luminite or something like that? It's another MIDI controller I really like that has a really nice screen with it and everything. But and it's a little cheaper than the Morning Star stuff. So, but their stuff is really good. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But yeah, MIDI. I don't. I've just started like using the Future Impact in terms of actually using it to play other things like the motif or sounds I have in the computer. You can use it to trigger different stuff because the Future Impact actually allows MIDI out of the notes it's tracking of your bass, which is super useful. Super useful. So some mallets. What else I would use on here? Vibes. Thank you. I appreciate that, AP. And sorry to the folks that was commenting earlier or chatting earlier. For some reason, it wasn't coming up, but I definitely appreciate all you guys. Make sure you hit that like button while you're here. It definitely helps me out in the algorithm and everything else. And make sure you subscribe, like, and share on all the different platforms you're on, as well as go check out my Patreon. I have all these different presets, packs, and stuff for various pedals that you see here. 11 different preamp packs for the ToneX one, plus my personal preset pack on there, personal list on the ToneX one. And then you got, C4 Synth Pack, Future Impact, Enzo X, um, Zoom MS-70 CDR Plus, MS-60B Plus, and B6. So all that stuff is available on the Patreon. Make sure you go check it out. Like, on the ToneX, you got the color box, you got the Ampeg SGT, Aguilar AG, preamp, Eden, WTDI. You got the Little Mark III, the Jens Shuttle 9. What else? Gensler Magellan Pre is on there. So, you got all that different stuff. It's real nice. Harkey TX 600. I'll have a Galley and Kruger pack on there soon. And then I'll have these combination packs of like the color box plus other preamps. So let's go. Make sure if you want to support the channel, subscribe, and make sure you head to the Patreon. You can support the channel further there. So let's go. All right. Eesh. So moving on. Uh, see, V256. It's my favorite vocoder pedal. Mind you, normally I would be, these I wouldn't be using. None of these, hardly any of these pedals I would be using by themselves like this. It's just a lot of times if you don't hear the individual sounds and you just hearing the complete layers, you won't really understand it, like that. But sometimes hearing it in the individual capacity like this, back to back, a lot of times these would be layered like the Key 9 um, Dynamo. Dynamo, I like to mix with the strings, either the orchestra, the strings, or the cello, or the flute, or the low choir, or even the rabbit sitar in that situation and get different sounds. So a lot of it is working with these pedals together. It's not really creating, doing anything separately. It's not really separate. It's really more so together. So testing. Testing, testing, testing.
Testing. So, you can even do stuff like this with this vocoder where you can change your voice. Now you got your own voice changer on stage.
You can auto tune it. You can auto tune it like this. You can sound like you can sing without the robot sound. Sound. I can. I really can't sing this song. Oh, 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 ooh. This is definitely one of my favorite pedals. I'm just talking right now and I'm just playing different notes. Now I'm singing. Little hack for y'all. Get this V256 vocoder. So I know. So this is the auto tune part of it. But yeah, this pedal does a lot. That's definitely one of my favorite pedals. The V256. You can actually get like a lot of different textures by running different stuff like the Key 9, Mel 9, Rabbit Sitar into the, or some of these other pedals like the Hog 2 and some of these synth sounds and different things without the, if you take the reverb and all that extra off it and send that through the V256 vocoder, it'll give you different vocoder sounds. Like even if you were even playing a regular keyboard through it, you can play like piano sounds and that'll give you a type of vocoder sound playing. It changes the envelope of the sound. So yeah, you can do a lot. That's one of my absolute favorite pedals. I don't get to use it as much as I would like. You know, I gotta definitely find a way to put it on more records and do more with it, but definitely one of my favorites. All right, so that's, oh, we got one more effects loop on this one. So the 4 effects loop. So remember the first one, just so everybody that just got here, hit that like button while you're here. We started here. This is the first effects loop. This is my main gigging board at the time, little small, in and out of gigs, whatever. Then we have the second loop, which is C4 synth, Hog 2, Spectrum. I know the Spectrum's out of place here, but it's the only way I could get it on the board. And then the the third loop here is going to be the Key 9, Mel 9, Rabbit Sitar V256. The reason I had to have the V256 on this side is so I can get that XLR in there, the input. But that's one of the things you got to plan out with a pedal board when you got pedals like that require you to, have that space there. Then we got the last little loop here is just the MS 50G, which I typically would use with channel 1, the Walk-Thru. So that's typically what I would use that for. Something similar to that, probably might even be just octave up by itself. So yeah, that's this complete board. So comes to the fifth effects loop. And I like these little loopers. Again, these are like $40 on Amazon. They aren't expensive, these little three-way loops. That's why I have three of them. All three of them cost me a total of $120. And they work perfectly. They're solid. They are rugged. And I really haven't had any issues with them. So I really appreciate that. These are T-tone three effects loop pedals. It's pretty much three separate effects loops, and allows me to bypass all these different pedals and stuff when I'm not using them. So pretty much right now, because of these three effects loops, it's essentially going from my bass to this effects loop to this one. So from here to here to here to here. And I bypassed all of this stuff without ever having to take anything apart or having an expensive setup or any of that stuff. And having that stuff in addition to the MIDI, works. They do have MIDI effects loops stuff, but that starts to get really expensive. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about $120. You're not gonna beat these, and they are passive. So only reason I have to power them is so the LED lights turn on. But even if I unplug it, it still works. And even with the effect and engages and disengages, So what we got here? Oh, that one's not on. It's this one. Also have this one empty. So if I want to add anything into the chain, I have this effects loop empty. So if I want to add anything into the middle of these two boards, I can do that. If I want to add anything in between these two boards over here, I got effects loops to do that as well over here. So it means I won't have to take things apart just to add them. And I have space down here. I could down bottom on that Terra 42, Terra Nova 42 board down there, which is the size of these two boards combined down there. So which has my expression pedals you can't see. Also has a sustain pedal for the layers on there as well. But all right, so the next effects loop is the filters. So the analog filters. So that's the MXR bass envelope filter. And currently, I like to use the feature of the Future Impact. The Future Impact allows you to not just MIDI out to other instruments or other keyboards or MIDI, 5-pin MIDI. Allows you to do CV, control voltage, for the vintage synths. And it gives you a note input and it gives you a gate input. So if you take that gate input and run it into the expression of the electroharmonics blurst, the blurst allows the the Future Impact V4 VIP synth here, this red one, to trigger the filter there, opening when I play a note. Without it, it's literally just the waveform. With it. It also can trigger when the LFO starts. So it can always make sure it So, you can control all of that from the C4 synth, like it will trigger that filter rather from the C4 synth, which gives you additional control over that filter besides just using an expression pedal or things like that. So I think it's quite amazing personally. So, all right, let's keep moving. Also, love the nice baseballs filter. Don't want to get that copyright. So yeah, baseballs is another one of my favorite little filters. You can find those used. I got that for like $40. Analog twin filter. It sounds great. You can go inside and adjust certain frequencies as well. So it's slightly customizable, even though it's a little bit, it's not really too much you could do with it in terms of it's not a every song pedal, but most pedals aren't. Like most pedals you see here aren't every pedal song, every song pedal. I showed you the every song pedals already. The Empress, the ToneX one, and the Source Audio Atlas compressor. That's just compression, preamp, and another limiter on after that. So, that's pretty much all you need for the majority of gigs. But when you're talking about getting into doing your own thing, and I will suggest that everybody does their own thing at some point. If you're waiting for people to hire you, you are working backwards. People will leave you hanging. Don't set yourself up for failure. You know what I'm saying? Set yourself up for success. Don't wait on nobody. If they can do it, you can do it too. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, as they used to say. That's what my so yeah, that's the filter section there. And the last number 6 would be just the layers. So that's it by itself, but of course you want to run that through some big reverb or delays in there, so you know add to it. But all right, coming up on the last few here. So my MS 70 CDR. One thing that doesn't get talked about with that pedal is the filters on there is funky. Not to mention beautiful delays. Modulations. actually, Future Impact and the Blurs running into there. Just wanted to show you guys some of that characteristic there. One of my favorite this warp phaser is absolutely one of my favorites. That is a funky phaser right there. That is one of the best. And I've always loved that warp phaser. Even when even on the B3 you see down there on the floor, or maybe you can't see it, it's underneath. I got an old B3 over the Zoom B3. I always love this warp phaser on everything they put it on. It's also on the B6 and no, is it on the B6? I'm not sure. It might not be on the B6. That is one of my favorite phasers. I love this D-tune as well. And if you're wondering, MS-70 CDR Plus versus HX1, I would say HX1 wins in the reverb department. And it also does have distortions, even though I don't use any of the distortions on there. They don't really sound good on bass like that. I literally only use the delays and the reverbs in there, and I like the analog flanger in the HX1. But I pretty much love the majority of stuff in the MS-70 CDR Plus. You can use all the reverbs, all the delays in there, and you can also have all the modulations I like a lot better. All of the filters I like a lot better. So, and it does have some bass they call them filters, but it has things like an exciter and bottom up, which are like almost like give your bass its own characteristics, extra sound. So bass vintage flanger. Swell vibrato. And this tri-chorus is spot on too. To what, the T-Set Electronic. As you see, I got the Plethora X1 here. When I've gone the tri-chorus on here versus the tri-chorus on the MS-70 CDR Plus, it's pretty much spot on. It's about this. You can literally make them sound the exact same. Just so you have a reference, without it, with it, do you hear how clear but big the sound got? That's crazy. The imaging is insane. Matter of fact, let me see something. How do I get to that joint? Okay. Yeah, it's already on tri-chorus. Well, it's a little unfair to compare it like this way because this is running stereo. The Plethora X1 is running stereo, but it's running mono out of the source audio back through all this other stuff and then going there. So it's not really fair. But trust me, you're going to have to take my word for it. But just check out the imaging of that. None of the modulations on the Line 6 have that. Now, I will say none of the reverbs by themselves on the Zoom MS-70 CDR Plus have the same imaging. But if you take those reverbs and if you put, like you say, like a hall reverb into the air effect on there, it makes it sound just as big. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. That is just such a massive chorus. It's just so clean sounding. That is a big sounding chorus on there. On a pedal that Moog style filter. is beautiful. Then we got the HX1. Well, let me go back for 1 second. The pads you can just create in this joint is insane too. And this all the MS-70 CDR Plus by itself. How massive those sound. You know, that's part of doing that little reverb, like whatever reverb you want, into the air effect on it, which is under the reverb as well. And that gives you a much bigger sound than if you take it out. Add it back in. So you can hear how much bigger that sound got right there, you know? That makes a huge difference. So, all right, cool. Now I'll show you, that's how you get those MS-70 CDR plus reverbs to sound just as big as the HX1s. So I really like these on the HX1 though. like that that flux, the flux, you know, a feature where I could like have two settings for the reverb like that. Just have it morph between the two. I think that's a really cool feature. Dynamic bloom. Really like this shimmer on here too. This is that analog flanger. So that's HX1, pretty much the sounds or the effects I use from that. And then, you know, I have this Jam Man Solo HD. This is one of my favorite, currently my favorite compact looper pedal. It has a lot of features that help me perform well, you know, and I can also have two older versions of it that sync with it as well. So it's a lot of little things that it helps me with, but you know, just general songwriting ideas and See, loops like this are hard for me to recreate. So I'm glad I got them in very high quality 24-bit, you know, processing there. And it, sounds really clean. So yeah, looper pedals are always awesome, especially when you have over 200 loops you can store on there. Not only that, but you can create nice songs. Like you can create not just songs, you can create sections, and you can switch loops in between. That's the problem I have with some other compact loopers. Like the Zoom one is really good, but the memory was a problem. The amount of memory, there was no SD slot. SD card slot, and it also, you couldn't switch loops while you were playing the last loop. Like play it, and then after that loop finish, it goes to the next loop. Like a song would goes to the next section. You couldn't do that with that, but with the Jam Man solos, they've been solid. Even when I go to put that is definitely an upgrade from the previous XT version. So the HD does sound better than the XT for sure, which means when I go to take that original sample and recreate it, not recreate it, but drop it into my DAW, it's going to sound really good. So, what I think the biggest part with the looper is watching your levels. Like you got to kind of mix while you're recording. That's the main difference between, and you got to get it right within the first couple of times. You can get it wrong the first time, but you can't get it wrong the second, especially when you're performing with loops. So you got to get, it takes a bit of discipline and a bit of practice, a bit of willingness to mess up in front of people, to use the loopers live and actually record your own backing tracks live and just laying down. You got to have good timing. You got to have good energy, because your energy on the track is going to make a difference in the background that's backing you up. So, that's pretty much this whole entire system. You know what I'm saying? First effects loop, again, is just this stuff here. Second loop is C4 Synth Hog 2 Spectrum. Third loop, Key 9, Mel 9, Ravish Sitar V256. Third loop, MS-50G. Fifth loop is, sorry about that, get you back straight here, is the filter section there. So the MXR, Blurst, and the baseballs. And then the last loop is the MXR layers coming out of the switcher here, goes to the MS-70 CDR Plus, and becomes stereo into the HX1 and into the Jam Man Solo. And then from there, what you can't see is there's a Canvas stereo line isolator over there. So all of that stuff is pretty much the basic signal chain you got here. It seems complicated, but when you break it down to each individual effects loop, it's a lot easier to understand it. Like I said, first effects loop is just this. This is just bam, 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 bam. Oh, excuse me. Bam, 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 and then source audio atlas underneath. So, when you create your pedal board, I didn't buy all this stuff at once. This is literally years of me buying pedals and doing pedal reviews. I bought all these pedals. This has not been, endorsed by anybody in particular, but so I believe in each of these pedals individually. So feel free to check out my review on any of these pedals. All these pedals have full reviews somewhere on my channel. as well as if you want to see them in action, there's plenty of videos with me putting these pedals into action as well. So definitely check all of that stuff out. Make sure you check out my Patreon. And if you want to support the channel more, if you want any of my preset packs for these various pedals, Future Impact, Enzo X, C4 Sim, 11 different ToneX one bass preamps, and you got the Zoom pedals, the MS-60B Plus, which isn't on camera right now, and the MS-70 CDR Plus, as well as the Zoom B6. And all that stuff's available on the Patreon. So make sure you check it out. Check out my music at allbasscreations.bandcamp, where I did an entire album using just my bass effects and no MIDI or any of that, just my bass effects, And also, check me out on all social media at the Bass Negus, Negus. Again, that's the Bass Negus, Negus. And this has been another episode of All Bass Creations, effects, tutorials, demos, and reviews. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share with your bass buddies and your bass friends or any musician friends you think it would help. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for hanging with me. Peace.